World News, U.S. President Joe Biden signs 10 executive orders to combat COVID-19. U.S. Republicans seek delay for Donald Trump impeachment to February. Canada Governor General Julie Payette quits amid bullying claims. Good afternoon, welcome to the World News on ITV. I'm Lesson AG. Beginning with local stories, Benin City residents are still tripping to designated National Identity Number registration centers for the National Identity Number registration. Adiswa Lato, who visited other centers aside the NIMC headquarters in Benin City to monitor the registration process, reports that the process is tedious for applicants.
At Oedo Local Government Secretariat, one of the designated centers for the National Identity Number registration, applicants milled around the premises wanting for the attention of the designated officials. Those already inside had to queue. Some applicants who decried the harrowing experience called on the federal government to create more centers for the registration to decongest the centers as a way of preventing coronavirus.
They have only one machine here serving a crowd of this nature, which is not making the movement or the something to be fast. The truth is, if they really want to do it, they can decentralize the whole system. We have networks, we have banks and everything. They can give them the right or the opportunity to start enrolling people.
Government, they are doing something, they should put a standard. We are in Corona era, and according to them, here your face masks, and people are gathering. I even learned that persons are sleeping here. I have been here since around 5, and yet I couldn't enter to do my own.
Attempts to obtain comment from the coordinator of the registration center was unsuccessful as he declined interview. Also at the Air Force Medical Center on Airport Road, where the National Identity Number registration process was ongoing in an orderly manner, some elderly persons complained of the stress that goes with the process.
Very stressful, very stressful for us. I left the house 6 o'clock this morning, I'm here.
This was done is unit by unit as the election, so that the old citizen will not be coming. We don't know what we are going to face now. We are about 70. We are not here. This is our second time of coming. Last time we came before 6 and we left here 6 o'clock.
Adesua Lato reporting.
The second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic worsened in Nigeria on Thursday as the nation reported a record number of new infections in one day. In a late night tweet, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control said 1,964 new cases and 7 deaths have been recorded across the country within 24 hours. Lagos, the epicenter of the pandemic in Nigeria, reported 824 new cases, while the FCT posted 246 infections. Other regions with new cases include Plateau, 166, Kaduna, 128, Ogun, 76, Nasarawa, 74, Anambra, 69, Edo, 50, Rivers, 45, Ondo, 44, Niger, 40, Oyo, 38, Adamawa, 35, Kano, 31, Akwa Ibom, 27, Gombe, 19, Kwara, 13, Ekiti, 12, Delta, 6, Kebbi, 6, Bauchi, 5, Ebonyi, 4, Osun, 3, and Zamfara, 1. Edo State government says a total of 39 healthcare workers have been infected with coronavirus in the state in the last 72 hours. The position of Edo State government was made known by the Permanent Secretary of Edo State Ministry of Health, Dr. Osamoyi Irowa, during a press briefing in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Government House correspondent Patience Usagiwa has details.
Speaking with journalists at the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Irowa, who expressed concern on the infection of health workers in the state, urged them to observe the protocol already being implemented by Edo State government. He noted that the precautions against the coronavirus are important in the fight to stop the spread of the disease in the state.
It is critical that we make sure that healthcare workers are duly protected, and also they comply with the same protocols that we have for the entire society or communities.
According to the permanent secretary, the affected health workers were infected at COVID-19 screening centers in the state, a development he described as a big concern to the state governments. He stressed that it is important to ensure that they are duly protected and comply with the COVID-19 protocols for the entire community and society.
It is our own duty to ensure that we pull those healthcare workers out of the system so that they don't also infect patients. And that is critical to us because there are not too many in the system that care for these patients. So losing one of them to the COVID-19 and not being able to render services to the people is actually not a very good news. So going forward for the state, we are doing everything possible to ensure that the healthcare workers are properly protected by way of giving them the appropriate personal protective equipment, and for them to also follow.
Dr. Irowa said the state government has procured additional personal protective equipment for distribution to healthcare facilities across the state to address rising healthcare workers' infection. Patience Osaugiwa reporting.
Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi, has urged the governor of Kogi State
movement of cattle in cities, highways, as well as directing herdsmen to vacate all government forest reserves in the state. In his address, the chairman of Ondo State Agricultural Commodity Association, Benga Obaweya, said the order has brought hope to farmers in the state.
It is on record that farmers in Ondo State have lost much over 2,000 hectares of rice and 3,000 hectares of cassava, just to mention a few. We advocate the use of modern-day technology to rear livestock, which will not impair the businesses of other people. Using high-tech measures of feeding our cattle will even make them do better.
Responding, the secretary to the Ondo State government, Temitayo Oluwatoyi, while commending the groups for the Solidarity March, assured that Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu will continue to protect the rights of the people of the state.
He has not said that they should leave Ondo State. He said no, they should leave the forest, they should stop grazing at night. He doesn't want underage grazing. So I want to assure you all that Mr. Governor is up to the task. Only recently, the CBN even complained in a letter to him that all the investment of the CBN in Ondo State have been destroyed by these herdsmen. So we are not going to fold our arms and see all these things happening.
In the same vein, traditional leaders in Ondo State have thrown their weight behind Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu's directive for herdsmen to vacate state government forest reserves. The Olukare of Ikare, Oba Akadiri Momo, who spoke on behalf of other monarchs, said the order would improve the security in Ondo State. From Akure, the Ondo State capital, Jonah Omowa reporting.
Former Inspector General of Police Gambo Jumeta is dead. Jumeta died yesterday at the age of 85. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media Matters confirmed this in a statement. Jumeta was appointed in 1986 to succeed Etim Inyang and was succeeded by Aliyu Atta in 1990. Jumeta was the National Security Advisor to former Head of State Ibrahim Babangida. You're watching the World News on Independent Television. Up ahead, U.S. Republicans seek delay for Donald Trump's impeachment trial in February. Stay tuned for details after this break. Moving out to the foreign scene, President Joe Biden has signed a raft of executive orders to boost the fight against COVID-19, which has ravaged the U.S. Roslyn Ewuramen reports that vaccination will be accelerated and testing increased, just as emergency legislation will be used to increase production of essentials like masks.
Announcing the 10 measures, the U.S. President Joe Biden said it will take months to defeat the pandemic, but expressed hope that Americans will get through it. Mr. Biden said that the bold practical steps he was taking will not come cheaply. He mentioned the vaccine, saying that its rollout had been a dismal failure so far, and described his plan for 100 100 million jabs in his first 100 days in office as one of the greatest operational challenges the country has ever taken on. Mr. Biden also promised to be transparent about setbacks and allow scientists to work through from political interference.
The death toll will likely top 500,000 next month. The cases will continue to mount. We didn't get into this mess overnight. It's going to take months for us to turn things around. But let me be equally clear. We will get through this.
On his part, Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci spoke about the vaccine rollout, saying the Biden administration was intensifying the program and expressed that 70 to 85% of the population will be vaccinated by the end of summer.
The concern I have, and something we're working on, is getting people who have vaccine hesitancy who don't want to get vaccinated, because many people are skeptical about that. So we really need to do a lot of good outreach for that.
The moves come a day after Mr. Biden was sworn in as the 46th president. The Trump administration was widely accused of failing to get the grips with the pandemic. In terms of total deaths from coronavirus, the U.S. is the worst health country with more than 406,000 lives lost, according to Johns Hopkins University. Nearly 24.5 million have been infected. Roslyn Eworami reporting.
Republicans in the U.S. Senate are asking Democrats to delay the start of former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial until February. They said this to give Mr. Trump enough time to prepare a defense. Rosalind Eworami again has details.
The U.S. former President Donald Trump is accused of inciting insurrection after his supporters stormed the Capitol this month. House of Representatives Democrats are ready to hand the charge to the Senate, but Mr. Trump fled to Florida as his term ended on Wednesday, skipping his successor's Joe Biden's inauguration. On 6 January, the then president told protesters near the White House to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard as they prepared to march towards the U.S. Capitol building. He also told them to fight like hell to defend their votes. The demonstration turned ugly as a mob forced its way into the congressional complex where lawmakers were certifying Mr. Biden's election victory. 4 protesters and a Capitol police officer died in the mayhem. On a call to his fellow Republican senators on Thursday, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said he had asked House Democrats to hold off sending the single impeachment article to the Senate until 28 January, a move which will kickstart the trial's first phase. Under the timetable, Mr. Trump will then have 2 weeks until 11 February to submit his pre-trial defense. Arguments will then be expected to begin in mid-February. Republicans, who as of Wednesday no longer control the Senate, need the new Democratic Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, to agree to the idea. Roslyn Eworami reporting.
Brazilian scientists are working hard to understand the new variant of coronavirus that was found in the Amazon. At the same time, doctors in the rainforest's biggest city, Manaus, are struggling to control rising numbers of deaths from COVID-19 and soaring cases as the country goes through a devastating second wave. However, Brazil has started vaccinating people, but with the collapsed health system in the Amazon, the light at the end of the tunnel feels a very long way away. Police broke up a wedding party with 400 guests in North London. Officers found the windows at the yesterday Hattora Girls Senior School, a charity school in Stamford Hill, had been covered when they arrived on Thursday. The guests fled the scene on citing police officers. Police said the organizers were fined £10,000 for breaching coronavirus regulations, while 5 other guests were issued a fine of £200. The area is home to the UK's largest charity community of strictly Orthodox Jews. London is under an England-wide lockdown, which prevents social mixing between households. Londoners are asked to only leave home for limited reasons, such as shopping, going to work, seeking medical assistance, or avoiding domestic abuse. In another development, Canadian Governor General Julie Payette has resigned amid claims she created a toxic work environment for her staff. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau confirmed he had received of the former astronaut in 2017, though her exit has no immediate implications for his Liberal government. The government had launched a third-party investigation of harassment claims after reports that several staff members felt bullied by Ms. Payet. Ms. Payet's secretary and a top bureaucrat is also resigning their positions. Ms. Payet has held a high profile in Canada for many years. In 1992, she was chosen from over 5,300 applicants to become one of 4 astronauts in the Canadian Space Agency. She became the first Canadian to board the International Space Station in 1999. As the Queen's representative in Canada, the Governor-General is the official head of state in her absence. Although the position is largely ceremonial, the Governor-General presides over important state duties. He or she has the power to give a throne speech and suspend Parliament, give royal assent to legislation, swear in the Prime Minister and his Commander-in-Chief of the Canadian Armed Forces. The Islamic State group has said it was behind a double suicide bombing in the Iraqi capital Baghdad on Thursday that killed at least 32 people and wounded more than 100. A statement from the Sunni Islamist militant group said the target had been Shia Muslims. It was the biggest suicide attack in Baghdad for 3 years. The bombers blew themselves up among a crowd of shoppers at a second-hand clothes market in Tehran Square. The admission by the jihadist group made via its account on the messaging app Telegram came several hours after the attack. Google has threatened to remove its search engine from Australia over the nation's attempt to make the tech giant share royalties with news publishers. Australia is introducing a world-first law to make Google, Facebook, and potentially other tech companies pay media outlets for their news content. But the U.S. firms have fought back, warning the law would make them withdraw some of their services. Australian PM Scott Morrison said lawmakers would not heed to threats. Though Australia is far from Google's largest markets, the proposed news code is seen as a possible global test case for how governments could seek to regulate big tech firms. Australia's code would tie Google and Facebook to mediated negotiations with publishers over the value of news content, if no agreement could be reached first. Google Australia Managing Director Mel Silver told a Senate hearing today that the laws were unworkable. And now talking sports, Barcelona missed 2 penalties before edging into Copa del Rey last 16 with 2 extra time goals against third-tier Cornellà. Miralem Pjanic and Ousmane Dembele were both denied from the sport by Cornellà goalkeeper Ramon Guan in a normal time. Guan, aged 21, is the first keeper ever to save 2 backup penalties in one game. Dembele made amends with a long-range strike 2 minutes into extra time, while Martin Braithwaite added a second after Albert Estes was going into the tie, as Cornellà, who play in Segunda Division B, had knocked out current La Liga leaders Atletico Madrid in the previous round. In addition, Barca's tie was played the evening after their great rivals Real Madrid had suffered Copa del Rey humiliation, having been beaten in extra time by third-tier side Alcoyano, who scored their winning goal after being reduced to 10 men. They now turn their attention back to La Liga duties with an away game with Elche on Saturday. Koeman will still be without La. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather prospects. To end the world news, a look again at our top stories. President Joe Biden has signed a raft of executive orders to boost the fight against COVID-19, which has ravaged the U.S. Republicans in the U.S. Senate are asking Democrats to delay the startup environment for staff. And it's a wrap on the World News on ITV. Thank you for watching. I am Blessing Aichi. Good afternoon.
Independent television, certainly the best.
Na ya mwegbe bari uge no yokwan Senator Evolution Plus Adire Atiku Brocade Ashoke Ghana was Cote d'Ivoire inu agata yi eri aga we mi okpa wo wa we bo na ya lo bobotizo ke we mi si mo gbe na ya wizo ami egbo bi howe ori yarun sapa na mi o ara mi ma we laba 555B opa sopon ba ba agbera 3 house o head onigi ogbe usatiti mabuwa ya 0803 548 9741 Yarun stores ona igi ogbe owupon na ken o.
The world is a beautiful place with great and life-changing destinations. Traveling has never been made easier than now with Payless Bookings. So whether it's Melbourne, New York, London, Dubai, Tokyo or Beijing, we help you get there. Air ticketing, hotel bookings and reservations, holiday and resort bookings anywhere in the world. Corporate and group travels, visa consultancies, it's quite easy. Wherever you are, just think of a destination anywhere in the world, and we will help get you there.
And in this challenging time, your well-being matters to us. Follow all government regulations on COVID-19. Stay safe, stay hopeful. Together, we will beat it.
Payless Bookings, world-class business.